Going live now. Okay, now confirmed we are live. Yes, perfect. So welcome everyone. I'm sorry for the delay, but now we are here and very excited of having this conversation and these amazing guests with us. My name is Lucila and I'm part of Youth and Youth team. Very excited to be talking about such an important topic today with you, Tamila and Sara, and all of you joining from all around the world. As you already know, if you're a part of our community, diversity is an ongoing conversation for us. Last year, we worked on a manifesto with our community, and we are always thinking and rethinking about what this means, and trying to reflect on our fellows' experiences and trying to be very mindful about the fact that we are always learning about how to be better. So that is why today we are having two of our alumni, Sara Rajabli and Tamila dos Santos with us. Sara is joining us from Azerbaijan and Tamila from Brazil. So this is amazing, very international guests. And they will be sharing with us their experiences as social entrepreneurs. I will briefly introduce both of them, but then I will do as little talking as possible because today I want to listen and learn from them. I want to also remind everyone that you can talk with us in the YouTube chat and you can leave your questions. So at the end of our conversation, we will have some time for Tamila and Sara to answer to your questions and interact with you. So let's start. Okay. Sorry, I'm having some little technical issues here. Please bear with me. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so Tamila and Sara, I have to ask you to please start introducing yourselves while I can open this doc because today technology is not on my side. So if you want, Tamila, you can start talking about AfroImpacto and then we can go to Sara. I mean, you will introduce yourselves in your own words better than I could. So please, I will silence myself.
It's okay, happens. Especially with me, like it really happens. Good evening to everyone. I'm Tamila Santos. I'm from Salvador, de Bahia, Brazil. This is my first live in English, so I would like to say I'm sorry for my grammar mistakes. So I'm sorry in advance, and I'm kind of nervous as well. I come from a simple family. I came from a simple family in Brazil, here in Northeast Brazil. So I always faced different inequalities. So that's why I started working with diversity. I have my own social impact business that is called AfroImpacto. We work developing people, Black people and Black business. We want to empower them through their business and make entrepreneurship content be more accessible to everyone in as a price way, in identity way. So we do our best to make entrepreneur education accessible to everybody. We are an online business, so we talk and discuss with people from all over the world. We do festivals, we do courses, we do events, and we do develop programs to Black entrepreneurs so they can connect, they can empower, and they can meet new people. So basically, this is what we do right now.
Amazing, Tamila. Thank you so much. Super clear. And I'm excited to see and to listen to you. Sara, please introduce yourself.
Thank
Welcome.
you. And I'm very grateful to Youth and Youth community, firstly, for this opportunity. And my name is Sara Rajabli. I'm joining this webinar from my country, Azerbaijan. And I'm working already in social entrepreneurship for more than 3 years. And after graduating from university, I started my social enterprise Buta Streets, which is focusing on unemployment problem of local women with special needs. What do we mean by the word women with special needs, particularly women with mental and physical disabilities? So we are providing for them income opportunities through sales of vegan sweets to different companies and organizations and individuals. And we are also organizing different lifelong educational, non-formal educational opportunities to develop their entrepreneurial mindset. And social entrepreneurship became my life mission, became like the most important part of my lifestyle. I love this sphere, and if I would be born again to this world, I would choose definitely social entrepreneurship, because social entrepreneurship, I think, is the most important key for creating inclusive and diverse societies. Thank you so much again.
Amazing. Thank you so much, both of you. And let's start with the questions. This is my first English panel as well. So this is a collective adventure, and I love the diversity of this panel as well. My first question, it's a little bit obvious since it's the title of this webinar, which is, what does diversity mean to you? And when I ask this, what I mean is, do you think that diversity is context specific, or is it a universal term? Do you think that when we use this word, we all understand the same thing, or there are different meanings or different approaches to diversity? I'm very curious to know what you think. Sara, Tamila, feel free to start, any of you.
Oh, we can change order. That doesn't matter to me.
Okay, I can start. So for me, diversity, if I will take from the experience of my country, it's also related both to the local context. It's also related at the same time to the global context. Why it's happening actually at the same time? Because when we are talking about diversity, for me, if we will think globally, for me, diversity means to accept each other, to respect each other independently on the social status, independently on the income level, the region you are living in, your educational or work background, on your race, ethnic minority, nationality, and so on. And for me, diversity means also to be in harmony, firstly, with ourselves, because when we are not in harmony, firstly, in ourselves, with our own world, we can never accept other people as well. And for me, when I'm talking about the experience of Azerbaijan in terms of diversity, for us, for our society, diversity means creating additional opportunities for people from marginalized communities, for organizing different opportunities to integrate them in our society. But for me, it doesn't mean actually the diversity, because we should go and integrate with them, not them to our society, because actually in most of the cases, just because of our stereotypes we got from our family, we are depriving ourselves from communication with different types of people. And I think diversity, the terms of diversity is very much related to our mindset, and when we don't have this global thinking, when we don't have this global mindset, we can never understand the fully the terms of diversity. But it's very important to create this harmony between being connected to our roots, to understand the local features of our personalities, of different types of people, and at the same time to keep this balance with integration and globalization, because when we are keeping this balance, we can create actually these diverse and inclusive societies. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sara. There's a lot of food for thought in everything that you just said. That's great. We are recording this webinar so then we can come back and, reflect on everything that is being said here. So thank you so much. Tamila, I want to also listen to you.
Great. That's an amazing discussion. When I think about diversity, for me, it's the reality. We are diverse. We are short. We are tall. We are fat. We are skin. We are black. We are white. We are Asian. We are people. So when I talk about diversity, I think about the reality of human beings. We are diversity. We can't deny that. So the discussion of diversity, it brings to me the necessity to recognize what is obvious, what is natural, not create something new, but recognize what already exists. There's a TED talk of Chimamanda Adichie that she says and she speaks about the danger of a unique story, the danger of a single story. So I think when we don't bring the discussion of diversity to the table, we are committing this serious mistake that is thinking in the world and in an only perspective, like in a single perspective. Um, but diversity is to understand and recognize that we can't have a hierarchy. We can't have a hierarchy of thought. We can't have a hierarchy of what is best. All cultures are necessary. All people are necessary. All difference of mindsets, not the bad ones, but all good mindsets. uh, um, should be recognized and should have its value. When we talk about diversity, when we talk about diversity as a single concept, I really believe that this is not true. I don't think that we only have one concept of diversity. We have different groups who think diversity in a different perspective. Like there are groups that thinks that diversity is black people or diversity is just women, are different mindsets. But to me, for me, it's important to recognize those different perspectives because this also is diversity. Um, and also, it's important to understand diversity of thoughts and diversity of mindsets. But one thing that I bring to the table is to think that if we are diverse, there's a pattern. We are diverse to what? Are we diverse to something? Because if we are diverse to something, there's a pattern. But this pattern is the rule. And if it is the rule, why we still follow it? I mean, there's no sense, doesn't make sense anymore. So I think that when we start discussing diversity, I'm sorry for this noise. Is someone selling eggs?
We have the same in Argentina.
So when we start talking about diversity, I think it's important to understand that, okay, we are diverse, this is human, but why we should say that we are diverse, why this is not natural, and if it's not, why? If there's a pattern, who is this pattern, who creates this, and why we still follow it? And to me, for me, this third and more important aspect is that we are in 2021. I don't think that this is a discussion we should have anymore, because if this is basic and if this is natural, should be the rule. I think we should talk about flying cars. I'm not saying that we should not talk about this, but why we can't evolve as a person until the point that we don't need to talk about this anymore. We should talk because this is not real. But why we can't evolve, why we can think about machines, why we can think about technology, why we can think about artificial intelligence, but why we can't think about in a reality that we can respect everybody, because this is simple, this is natural. So I think this is, to me, is for me is the discussion, more important discussion that we should bring to the table. We should evolve as human beings, not only as technology.
Amazing answer. Thank you so much for all of that. I have to say two things. The first one is that I love the fact that you brought up this TED Talk from Chimamanda. On our last webinar, I mentioned that this is my favorite TED Talk. the danger of a single story. So I can share the link on the YouTube chat now, so then everyone can go and see this amazing, amazing woman giving us a huge lesson. And number two, when we were preparing this panel, Tamila, I will disclose this little secret talk. We were saying, like, I was asking, like, should I ask why diversity is important? Like, should we still be having this conversation about, like, diversity is important because of this and that, or should we just, like, start discussing why we are still having this conversation, as Tamila just said? So I think this is super important, what you brought to the table. Like, why is this a thing? Like, why isn't it the norm, right? So thank you so much for bringing this up. And my next question is about your personal journeys with diversity. And I want to know if you have always felt the need to work towards diversity, or if there was a specific experience, conversation, I don't know, a book you read or something in your lives that sparkled that flame inside of you and brought you to do this amazing work that you're doing right now. Sara, if you want, you can start so Tamila can take a breath and then she can go after you.
Okay, thank you so much for such a great discussion and for such a great question. And I will share just something from my personal story, why actually I started this journey of social entrepreneurship. Like since childhood, I was raised in conservative family where this family didn't respect so much the diversity of opinions, the diversity of thoughts. And I was brought up with defined stereotypes about the world, about the countries, about the nations, about different groups of people. And since childhood, I saw in my local community that people, they are not respecting different appearances, they are not respecting different behaviors they are observing in the streets. And I was always asking this question to myself, why people actually, they cannot accept each other. I was keeping asking this question to myself. And my first experience of breaking up these stereotypes in my mind was related to traveling outside of Azerbaijan. For the first time in my life, I saw so many different people from different backgrounds, from different countries, and I was so happy to see such a diversity. Because while I was talking with different people, I was learning so much from them that couldn't be found in internet or in any books. Because actually, from each other, from people to people, we can learn much more if we are accepting each other as the way we are. And since childhood, I saw that women with special needs, they are experiencing a lot of discrimination, firstly because of their gender, and secondly because of their disability status. And why I was involving in this business, because I also had the same feeling. I had the fear of not fulfilling my human potential. I was feeling that I have enough skills, enough potential to do something for my life, for the community, for this world, but I was just limited by different thoughts and stereotypes, and I could understand the conditions of those women because they also had these fears of not fulfilling their human potential. They had wonderful talents, they had wonderful skills and potential, but people, they deprived themselves from those women. They just like looked at themselves and started to judge their appearance instead of talking with them, instead of communicating with them and discovering their potential. So I would tell you honestly that diversity for me is a big power, is a big power for making change, is a big power for learning from each other and for creating much more useful and valuable products and services for our communities. We are always supporting diversity in our teams because when we have during brainstorming, different thoughts, different opinions, we can discover each other. It's not only about work and business, it's also about our personal qualities, Even one word on right word on the right moment can change the life of a person. And it's just happening thanks to diversity, because if everything would be the same, I'm sure that the world will be the super boring place. But thanks to this diversity, actually, which is normal, and I think diversity should be normal for us. It shouldn't be questioned anymore, neither in businesses, in corporate sectors, in governmental sectors, among our community members. It's actually a normal reality of our life, and it's also a huge power. It's a huge power for discovering each other's potential. Thank you so much for listening.
That's amazing. Diversity is a big power. That's a beautiful phrase. So thank you for that. Tamila?
I think I'm gonna do a T-shirt with with this sentence.
Let's do it. I'll wear it.
um, so I'm a Black woman from Northeast Brazil. I think it is important to me to say this over and over again, and it's also important because we don't born with that thought. Like I didn't grow up with this idea that okay, I'm a Black and a woman. This was something that society brought to me, and I learned that being a woman is dangerous, that being Black is bad, that being poor is the worst thing that can happen to you. And this is something that it was teached to me. Like it was something that I learned. I didn't saw like that. Like I was a very happy child. So when I grew up and I entered the university and I started to understand a few things, like okay, that situation that happened to me, it wasn't a coincidence. It was something that is structural, that it came from a prejudice. So when I understood that, I thought that okay, this is not right. Maybe we should do something about it. Here in Brazil, we have a lot of prejudice against Black people, especially Black women. I have difficulty to buy a house, to rent a house, to enter in a mall, to do basic things. And this makes you angry, really angry, because our basic needs right now, I just can't buy my own house. Sometimes I'm confused with the maid. This is not a problem being a maid, but sometimes I'm confused with a maid in my own house. So to me, the thought that there's no other possibility to me as a Black woman than a maid, again, it's not a problem be a maid, but this is not my only possibility. I can be a maid, I can be a doctor, I can be a business owner, I can be whatever I want because I'm a person. So for me, it's a problem when we only have a single story, when we only have an unique possibility that is closed in the mind of the society, that we only can be one thing. So that's what makes me angry, and that's what made me want to do something about it. So I started working and studying a lot with that. I started working in the public sector in a place that received racism cases, and you don't have any idea of how hard it was. Like people do very bad things with each other for nothing. So it was so hard to listen that uh, there were rights like do a surgery denied because of the type of a hair. I mean, this is, you can even think about how stupid this is. So when I saw that, I said, okay, I just can't work. I just can live without doing anything. Maybe I'm not gonna win a lot of money doing that, but at least I'm gonna put my head on the pillow. Okay, I want to change that. So I started working with diversity in a company level. That's what made AfroImpacto being born. And when that happened and found out that people doesn't believe that I'm the CEO, and happens a lot. That's why I brought the media example, because they never think that the company is mine. I passed a lot of time of my work explaining that I created a company, that I'm the CEO, and okay, this is a job as any other. There's why not? So and oh no, this is a very interesting thing. People doesn't think that they should pay me for my work. This is something that really happens on the daily basis. I have to be very careful with the people that I am hired, because they don't want to pay me, because they think that my work should be free. So it's very complicated to me, this position, and it's kind of fire to what I do. Like, I do something to make Black lives better, because I think when we talk about a specific group, we're talking also about society. If Black lives are better, society is better as well. I'm talking about my specific group, but it's part of society, so it's a wheel. We are not alone in the universe, on the society. So if Asians are better, society is better. If Black people are better, everybody's better. So we should think about that. But I also suffer from the same racism that I'm trying to combat. So every day is like, oh, okay, how we can manage that. So this is exactly the fire that I have to continue doing my work. I think that if you are a human being, and you should have equal opportunity to be whatever you want to be in the world. You can't have a single story determined or created for someone else. You should create your own story. If you want to be a policeman, a maid, a business owner, a doctor, a nurse, you should be whatever you want to be. You can't have your dreams like vanished because of other people think about you, or other people determine that you should be, just because of the skin of your color, your race, your city. So I think that this is what brings fire to me to do whatever I want to do, because I want people, other Black people have different opportunities to be and can choose. I think choose is a very powerful thing. We must have the right to choose our own destinies.
Amazing, Tamila. I see Sara doing like this with her head as well. Thank you so much for, putting your voice and for your work as well. It's super important for me to be listening to your story. So thank you really for sharing this, and Sara as well. I really like what you're saying about, even though different groups are working towards diversity from their perspectives and fighting for their rights, this, their work is something good for all the society. And I think that we miss this point very often. It's not like, oh, I'm working for, Black entrepreneurs or Latinos or whatever. No, this is for all of us. We all are going to be, a better society, have more fulfilled lives. It's not about like little groups fighting for their own stuff and that's it. No, it's more systemic. So thank you for bringing this up. I think this is super important. And I really like the next question, because I think we can all use your answers. And the next question is, it is very clear how both of you are working towards diversity, but I wanted to know, how can the rest of us, from our everyday lives, our jobs, our families, our homes, actively enhance diversity and work to have and build more diverse teams, environments, group of friends, whatever it is, wherever we are? Whoever wants to go first, I'll leave it to you this time.
Okay, I will start again. Actually, since being in social entrepreneurship, I understood the most important lesson in my life, that there is no any limits in living your legacy in this world by doing even small steps for making some changes in your community. And there is no necessity to be a billionaire, to be in a high position in governmental sector, to leave the Earth to the Mars in order to make some change, in order to make something for the diversity, actually everything starts from the smallest steps. In our everyday lives, a lot of people, they are asking for small help from us. And sometimes since childhood, just because of this prejudice, because of these stereotypes, because of this limited thinking that is coming from the conversations with our family members, from teaching system in education, at the schools, at university, sometimes we deprive ourselves to talk with the people. I think one of the biggest changes in our life about changing our mindset in order to accept each other, in order to create these opportunities for diversity, it's all about being brave to break the stereotypes, to think much more globally, not only to think that some people can have some priorities and other people should be deprived from some rights. And it's very important to build this communication with different types of people, you know. Don't just believe to the stereotypes created by media, by social media channels, by different influencers or anything else. We should be brave enough and we should be smart enough. We should have this critical thinking skills in order to be brave, to change this mindset in our brains, in order to keep these communications with different types of people. I think this is the smallest thing we can do. Actually, it's all start about communication with people. We can, if we see some people who are laying on the streets, maybe he cannot express his words, his pain, and when no one is expressing the empathy to this person, we can be actually biggest change maker in his life by asking just one small question: how are you? How do you feel? Actually, this big change in diversity, I always say that we shouldn't underestimate the power of smaller steps, because everything actually starts with the smallest details. It starts from our family. It starts from accepting each other, actually, starting from ourselves, then from our family members, then from our friends and colleagues, and then we can spread this impact to our projects, businesses, work, or social enterprises. But it should start all about accepting each other and building this communication, proper communication based on the empathy.
Thank you so much, Sarah. We can also do a t-shirt with like empathy and it's the little things. After this webinar, we're going to work on it, I promise. Tamila, it's all yours. I want to listen to you. Thank you.
I thought about accept diversity, be brave.
I'm on it. I'm taking notes.
Yeah, or be brave to accept diversity. I mean, I really love it. I think I'm with a lot of ideas right now.
We can do different languages as well.
Yeah. Man, this is complicated. I mean, I was thinking about how I could answer this question, but when we talk about diversity, especially thinking about different groups and different positions, we are also talking about privilege. Who has the privilege? Who hasn't? And where I am on this contest, do I have the privilege or do I haven't? Or am I part of a group that in a moment have or in a moment hasn't? I mean, this thing is complicated, but sometimes when I think about, okay, what we can do on daily basis to make our life more diverse, I think that the first question is listen more than speak. It seems easy, but it's not. I mean, listen to someone saying that something that you do hurts her, hurt that other person. It's complicated. We're not always ready to listen that. So when Sarah says be brave, to me is a very powerful word, because we are not always ready to listen that, okay, what you did hurt me, or what you are hurts me, you know. So that's why I say listen more than speak. it happens a lot when we are in groups, in my experience, right? When we are in groups of Black women, that we allowed other people enter, like Black or a white person, white people or Asian people entered and listen our conversations, that they also want to speak. And to us, it's complicated because in that moment, we are sharing our stories, we are sharing our daily basis, we are sharing our the things that are hurting us. And it's okay for you to listen, but have the empathy to understand that that moment we want to speak, we want to be the protagonist of that moment. It's not that you can't be here, but if you are, please listen to us. Don't want to say on top of our experiences, because if you do that, it's not our safe place anymore, it's your safe place. And all the society already is like that. That moment, that specific moment, is our moment, and we need that safe place. So that's why I said listen more than speak is very important, to listen other people, especially if you don't know what to do, just listen. I think it's always the best way out. Another thing is important to ask how are you doing and how do you feel about it, but think that we are not ready to answer that. And as you're not always ready to listen, we are not always ready to answer, because imagine that you experience violence and oppression in your day, and a person that represents that is asking you how you feel. Sometimes you don't react very well because you're angry, and you have the right to be angry. Of course, that person is not the person to blame, but maybe that person represents what is oppressing you. So you get angry and you make another mistake, you know? So it's not always that we are ready to answer questions. Here in Brazil, Black community always says that we are not Black Google. So if we have to understand and learn through books and Google and asking why shouldn't you, if you can look for another thing, why you can't ask in the Google about the things that you're asking me. I don't have the obligation to explain to you. And this is real. Sometimes we feel in the position that I'm very hurt right now, I can't answer you, I'm not able to answer you. And another thing that happens a lot, and especially because we listen to very, I'm sorry, stupid questions. I'm so sorry, but sometimes I personally already listen like, do you wash your hair? Like everybody washes their hair. Why you should answer that peacefully? I can't answer that peacefully because this is basic. Of course I wash my hair. I take shower. So I have to listen to things like that. And this makes me very angry because I'm a human being. Of course I wash my hair. Sometimes something that's very stupid that happens to me was like someone that come from nowhere and wants to touch my hair, like, oh, in the middle of the street. This is really happens, really happens. So you can react that well. You don't react that well. This is also aggression, right? Like, let me touch your hair. I already was in an interview for a job, and a lady asked me, I know that you don't have insurance, a medical insurance. And I was like, what? How do you know that? My mother works in a hospital. Of course, I have health insurance. So you listen to very stupid questions on the daily basis, and you start to get very angry. So you're not, sometimes it happens that a person that is nice asks you something nice. You are so full that you can answer properly to that specific person because all the context is bad, you know? Um, and my third and most important thing is if you see something that seems wrong, do something about it. Because sometimes we see something that is wrong and we don't act. Maybe we don't know the best possibility to act, but it's good to act because sometimes I feel that the responsibility to make our society more diverse and more equal is just for the minority, and it's not. We are society. So racism is not a Black issue. Racism is a society issue. prejudice is a society issue. So I shouldn't be the one to do something about it. If you're right, if you are white and you see something wrong, do something about it. Maybe people will listen more to you than me, and it happens. But do something. I think if we all assume as a collective the responsibility of that, maybe we can go faster and we can be more united to face that together.
I feel like I need to, do some seconds of silence to take everything in. I won't add anything. Thank you so much for everything that you just shared with us. And again, I mean, I won't add anything. Thank you. I will rewatch this for sure. And yeah, there's a lot to learn. So thank you very much. Our next question, it's very related to many things that we have touched on, but I will do it anyway. And you can see if you want to add something or if you already have covered everything that you wanted to cover. And this is also related to a question that we have in the chat. So why do you think that we as a society struggle with diversity? And I wanted to know if you see any progress. I mean, Tamila, you just mentioned, this is sometimes a hard conversation to have, but maybe you want to add something else, and Sara as well. So I want to know your opinion. Why do you think that we struggle with something that, as you mentioned, it's the reality, right? The normal, it's diverse. So why do we find it so strange and like difficult? Why do we need consultants and workshops and to work on this? And do you see any progress in the last years?
I will start this time. I see progress. I see that we are trying to face something because we see profit on this. We see profit in diversity. So in a capitalist society, we should look for that because money is power, and we should look for that. This is one of the reasons. I'm not an optimistic person, so I can't say this is just for empathy, and I think we know that it is not. So, but I see that there's a progress on this. This is a very interesting question because I think that sometimes when we talk about privilege and power, maybe I don't know. I'm trying to put myself in other people's shoes. Maybe there's a thought that if we recognize diversity, maybe we're going to lose something. I don't know. Maybe if everybody is special, I'm not going to be special anymore. I don't know. I'm trying to to understand what exactly is the mentality behind this, because to me it's very different. Difficult to understand, but I think that it's complicated for us to deconstruct this pattern, this idea that we have from one day to the other. And I really believe that is very difficult because I still have, as a Black woman, I also have prejudice from different groups because it's normal. Like, unfortunately, as a society, we are conducted to think like that. I mean, we have media who reinforces that all the time. We learn that with our values. We learn that with our parents. We learn that with our family, with our friends, on the work. So deconstruct that is complicated, but we can be on this construction. Like, we can try to be better every day. So I think it's complicated to break something that is totally structural, but we can do like an end work, like everyday work to manage that and make life easier to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for the honesty. Sara, I want to listen to you.
Thank you so much, dear Camila. Actually, you talked about so many important points that I'm even thinking what I can add actually to this discussion about this question. But I think one of the main reasons why still people are all talking about this topic It connects with our families. It connects with the traumas of our parents they delivered to us because they lived in different difficult times. For example, if I will take experience of my family, Azerbaijan was a part of Soviet Union empire where diversity wasn't so much appreciated. Just imagine socialistic like society where you can never be creative, where you can never be an entrepreneur, and people they don't see diversity as a power. They want to see everyone as the equal, with the equal thinking, with equal thoughts, with the equal ideology, with the equal clothes, with the equal education, and so on. And my parents, they lived in these times and they saw the system. And when they saw like different success stories related to the system, they wanted to deliver this message from the educational system, from their work experience, from their own life to us, to like to me and to my sister. And I will never judge my parents because they live this life. But as a person, I have the choice uh, consciously to change my mindset, which has been shaped by my childhood with the thoughts of my parents. Now we have much more opportunities. We have open internet resources. We have access to different books. We can read a lot about this topic. We can read a lot about psychology, about changing our mindset, and so on. People now have more choices than it was before, and I think, of course, capitalism impacts on the choices and behaviors of people. And secondly, now people they understand that uh, when we are diverse, we are free actually. We are free to think, we are free to act, we are free to think, to create much more useful services and to help to someone. If I would live in Soviet Union time, I wouldn't imagine myself as a social entrepreneur. It wouldn't be possible because entrepreneur in Soviet Union time wouldn't be perceived so seriously. If a person, if a society in Soviet Union times could see someone who is creating or who is selling something to another person, they would judge this person and they would even make everything happen in order to put this person in the prison. Everything starts from mindset, I think, yeah, because now people they have much more choices, and I think people they are living with their choices. Life is unfair, if we are speaking honestly. Life gives us a lot of surprises, both positive and both negative. But when we are making the choices, we can make the choices with our reactions to our emotions, with our reactions to these unfair situations. And I think when we are talking about the current situation and progress we have made in the last years, of course, we made a huge progress. In global context, in the context of Azerbaijan, but I think there is still a lot of things to do. There is still a lot of work to do with the mindset of people, and I will always tell these things that you can work in Google, you can work in Facebook, you can graduate from Harvard University, you can even fly to cosmos. But if you don't change your mindset, even if you will travel the whole countries on the earth, if you are not open to new approaches, if you don't make this choice to be open to new approaches, to new thoughts, you will never change your life, you will never change your behavior, and everything will be like cycled around the thoughts. And the reality actually it very much depends on the way of our thinking. And I really hope that future generations and current generations, they will be conscious to make this choice, to give the best from the background, to give the best from the education, life experience in order to raise brave, educated children who will not be born with the, defined stereotypes about different groups of people. They will just accept the diversity as a normal. They will not think that why should we have this diverse environment. It's not only related to our business set. we should invite different people just for making profit or for branding or for anything else. They would be just, it's just drinking the water. It's just, making some smaller steps, which is a huge power of our lifestyle. And I think everything starts from our mindset. When we will change our mindset, when we will work on agile mindset as a community, as a country, as a society, as a personality, we will make much more progress for diversity and for multiculturalism and for tolerance to different types of people. Yeah.
Wow, Sara. Again, some seconds of silence. Very important things have been said. The ones that resonated with me are we can make change working on our reactions, on how we react to unfair situations, and it all starts with the mindset. And both of you mentioned something that I think it's key here, that it's bravery and being brave. Because very often we say, maybe people don't know, they weren't exposed to this reality, or they don't have the information. So we work on awareness, which I think is super important. But I do think that it's about bravery, because many of us, and I think that maybe all of us in some way, perpetrate those things that we don't agree with at some point, and we don't realize. We all come from somewhere, and we receive maybe negative messages, and we internalized these negative ideas, and it's this the construction. I'm speaking for myself, like I think it's an everyday work, and it takes bravery to accept that, as Tamila said, we hurt people sometimes by just being in a place or saying something, and no one likes to accept that. And I think that that's the work that everyone has to do, we all have to do, I have to do every day. So thank you for this conversation, really. I mean, I don't have enough English words to express my admiration, but I mean, this is how I'm able to say it. But really, I'm very grateful for having listened to all of this. And the last question that I had, I think it's maybe a little bit repetitive, so maybe we can reframe it a little bit. But it was, if you had any advice or your point of view for those people trying to implement more diverse teams or policies. In this case, maybe we can focus on the workplace, or in teams in general. If you could give them some advice, we can imagine that maybe they are not very sure, they are scared, because at least this happens to me, right? When I have to talk or work towards diversity, I'm like, I don't want to do something wrong. I'm not an expert. Where do I start? Is it the right thing to do? So what would you tell them or advise them to do?
The Black movement here, there's do a test called the neck test. The neck test, it's simple. You should enter in your company, and you should look backwards, like look everywhere, and ask yourself how many Black people or that minority group that you're talking is working there. Ask yourself how many people are working there. Like when we talk about like black situations, like how many Black people work here? Are they managers? Are they leaders? What are the positions that Black people in my company have? Those on my context are important questions, because on the Black situation, people hire one Black person in a company with 500 employees, and they say that they're diverse. So I think it's complicated, that math. So that's why we always ask how many Black people are there, and if they are leaders, because what happened here in Brazil is that, okay, and this was something that a CEO from a company said, that we can hire Black people because we can like put the level on the company on the low. She said that in national television. So this is exactly the thought of managers, of employers, you know? So you just can't say that we can put Black people in leadership positions because we don't have enough capacitated Black persons. Come on, there's not a professional that is good enough to assume a position of leadership. And you know, so this is something that we should ask ourselves. That's why they do the neck test. I think that the best advice is, if you want to make a diverse company, hire a company that specializes in that, on that. If we're talking about women, hire companies specialized in that. If you're talking about Black people, hire a company that specializes in that. Because when we try to put ourselves, when we try to work with different groups, sometimes we don't have enough background to put ourselves on the other people's shoes. I think this is an empathy level, but it's also a ability, a technical thing. You know, imagine that we are working with sexual diversity, or we are working with transgender people. Even even if I make part of a minority group, I still don't know how to work with this group. I need help. I don't know how to work with this group. There are demands that I still can't understand, so I need help. So I think this is the most important thing. If you don't know how to work, or if you don't think that your company is diversity enough, or if you have a doubt, ask someone to help you, someone that have the ability to do it. Ask people advices about it, because even the right questions, when you are not in other people's shoes, are hard to make. Sometimes we can't even do the questions right because we don't understand, and it's okay. It's not a problem not to understand. I think it's a problem to think that it is okay, that I don't have nothing to do with this. But if you don't know, it's okay. Just ask someone specialized on that and pay that person. This is our job, and it's very important, and it's very difficult to understand diversity. We are seeing that there's a different perspective that's very complex. So you really need a professional to talk about that, and pay that person, please. So call a specialized person and see, and do the neck test about different groups, do the neck test about women, do the neck test about Black people. Because if you have just one person in 10 people that is from the minority group, you don't have diversity. You have someone to say that you are diverse. It's different. So I think that is the effort that is worthy, especially because when we talk about future, the future is diverse. The future is accept diversity. There's no other way. We can't evolve as society in technology and don't look to that anymore. I think that right now we should talk about flying cars. We should talk about artificial intelligence that do my food, not about basic things that is respect people. Come on, guys. So I think that if you want really to implement diversity in your company, call someone that specializes on that, invest that, put that on your priority, financial priority as well, because I think that the result is going to be a lot better than you expect.
Amazing, Tamila. I hope that if someone is watching, they're taking notes. These are great advices. Yeah, what can I say? I agree 100%. So I think it's super important. Is this survey available for everyone? Do you have a link that you can share with us?
A link about oh, I know Brazilian companies that do something like that, but I don't know in the international levels that I don't know the companies that do that on international levels. Here in Brazil, we have companies that are specialized in contracting hired Black people. So I think that should be in other countries that probably.
Perfect.
So I think it exists.
Yes, yes, no, for sure. Perfect. Thank you so much. Sara, what advice would you give to people trying to implement more diverse teams or workspaces?
Actually, it's so challenging and difficult for me now to add something because Tamila actually she talked about everything. Of course, we should learn a lot about the psychology of people because the diversity it's not only about the appearances, it's not about the ethnic minorities, it's all not about the race, about the geographical regions they are living, but it's also about the diversity of psychologies of people, diversity of their opinions, diversity of their thoughts and ideas, behaviors. Yes, firstly, it's everything that is told by Camila. It's related to empathy. So prioritize empathy in everything. And secondly, to put as a mission in the mission and vision of your company, of your enterprise, to make it much more inclusive and diverse as it's possible in your capacity. To learn much more about the changes of behaviors and trends in the developing world because for example the terms of diversity it's also changing, you know. For example, if 10 years ago the terms of diversity for Azerbaijani people it meant only including people with disability in working process. Now it started to upgrade for local people. Now people understand also the difference of genders, the difference of minorities. They are starting to prioritize their programs in order to make it inclusive for local communities. I think people should, go to communities to talk to people, to learn how to ask questions properly, to consult with psychologists, with professionals about conducting the right questions. Because if we cannot give the right questions to the right people, we can never get the right answers in order to make our enterprise successful. And the next point and the last point I want to talk about it's all about being brave to change our mindset. You know, when we are ready to change our mindset, we can do everything. We will finance these priorities, we will make efforts for researching, we will conduct different surveys, we will invite people from different backgrounds, from different, age, from different educational systems, from different income levels. And it's very important not to be arrogant with people, because sometimes when we want to establish social enterprises, when we want to work with marginalized groups of people, especially with our beneficiaries, in most of cases we are like thinking that I am educated, I am literate, they don't know anything, I know the best for them. We even don't ask their opinions, what is the best for them. And in result, we can lose a lot in our projects, in our enterprises, because we don't know what is the best for them. We don't ask their opinions, we don't observe their lifestyles. And that is the biggest challenge and the biggest mistake is made also by social enterprises, also by big corporations and international organizations. Yeah, I think it all comes from the passion of people, from the desire of people to accept diversity as a normal. Because when people want something really, they will do all the best. They will even, fly to the cosmos in order to implement the dreams. But if they want really to make this diversity as a part of their lifestyle, they will make everything for making this happen. Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. That was amazing. And I think both of you mentioned something super important, that is making the right questions. Otherwise, we will never get the right answers. And I go back to listen more than you talk and being brave to accept the answers, right? Don't ask if you're not ready for the answer. And that answer will hurt. It's hard to take. And that is the conversation that we need to have. That's what I collected from listening to you. Many things. I mean, you will see this video on our Instagram account. We will also subtitle it in Spanish, maybe also in Portuguese. I'll make sure that we make it available in Portuguese as well, so everyone can understand this. I am super, super grateful and so happy that we made this happen. So many important things were said today. And the last thing that I want to say is there's something else that you want to add that I haven't asked, or a final message. I want to. Okay.
I think that for me is thank you for this opportunity to talk about such difficult and complex issue. I think is a real challenge, and that's a challenge that we should make it real. We can't ignore it anymore. So I think it's a discussion for everybody. I really believe and I really want to make the future more diverse. So I invite everyone who wants to join me on that struggle to be with me on that. Come, guys. I think we can make this work better. We must do this work better. I think that this is a society issue. Again, I think we should put that on our minds that it's a win-win game, is not a win-loss game. I think it's the most important thing that we must understand to the future. Everybody wins with diversity, everybody. So if we want to do something about it, come on, uh, come together and let's do something about that. And thank you. I'm available. I'm gonna put my network here, my LinkedIn, my Instagram account. If you want to talk about it, if you want to discuss more, if you want to help AfroImpacto, just come. We are with open arms.
Yes, please just leave your details in the Zoom chat and I will paste them now in the YouTube chat. Also, Tamila, there's something happening this Friday, right? There's an event going on. Do you want to talk about that? I just came to my mind.
And I'm totally crazy about it. We have a 3 days festival going on. It's going to start tomorrow. We're gonna have like more than 20 people invited to talk about diversity and Black issues all over the world. Like Yuna is going to be part of that, so we are very happy about it. We're going to talk about the network, the Yuna's opportunity, and how it's important for us as a Black people to be part of UNIS as well. This is our space as well. I think UNIS is with open arms to everybody. So this is the time, guys. So it's going to be a 3 days event, totally free, starting tomorrow. So I'm saying to everybody, just prepare your popcorn and your snacks and come to be part of this event. It's going to be amazing. I'm gonna put my network here. So if you still want to be part of that, the event is going to be in Portuguese, but we're going to have we can record, and if you want to watch in English, maybe this is a possibility. So tell us and come to enjoy our event.
Amazing. If you can share the link here. Anyways, you can find it also in Youth and Youth social media. It's everywhere out there. So I will be joining. I speak some Portuguese, so I think I'm good to go. Let's see how that goes. Sara, anything else that you want to add?
I just want to add that I strongly believe that the future is diverse. I strongly believe that the capitalism, businesses, projects, work processes, everything in our life will be diverse, because this is a normal thing and we should accept it as reality for ourselves. And I just want to tell to everyone that if we want to change something in this world, if we want to leave our legacy for our communities, for our countries, for our societies, we should never underestimate our smallest actions, never underestimate the power of empathy, of listening, of, very basic principles of the communication, because sometimes one simple question can hurt a person, and when this person will be silent, will be in silence, we will never know this problem. So it's so important to be open, to be honest, to be sincere about any challenges that we are experiencing in our communication. We shouldn't never, we should never be fearful to make mistakes, because in most of cases, when when we are educated, when we are brought up in our families, in most of cases we don't get enough lessons how to react in diverse environments, how to react to communication with different people. But we have the choice to learn about it during our lifetime, and we can also learn a lot from our mistakes. But the most important thing is to learn from these mistakes, because actually after learning from these life lessons, also by reading books, also by reading very useful articles about these topics, about different cases of companies and social enterprises, we can improve a lot of things in our life. I just want to tell to everyone that be yourself, never put another masks in order to be much cooler in the eyes of other people, because we are beautiful as we are, because we are natural, and everything natural is very beautiful. And I'm really grateful to Yunus and Yunus for creating these opportunities for networking, for sharing our experiences with each other. And I'm very super grateful to these communities, to this community for making like very, huge and important friendships in my life. And thanks actually to this diversity, I can bring something positive experience from other countries to my country through different projects. So I will never be tired to repeat these expressions that diversity is a big power and we should never forget about it. Thank you so much.
Amazing. We have the choice to learn. I love that. And listen more than you talk. Thank you so, so much to both of you. I told you it's just 45 minutes. It's now 1 hour and 20 minutes, and I would go on talking and talking with you. I mean, I have so many questions that I would ask. So thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared. I don't take this for granted at all. So really, I think that we are very lucky to be able to listen to you. I will just add that we are soon launching our global fellowship. So everyone is super, super invited to apply. We want to have the most diverse cohorts. We want to reach everyone out there. So please do not hesitate. If you feel you're not ready, or is this for me, email us. The answer will be yes. So please take the chance and yeah, just wait for it. It's going to be out there in a couple of weeks. So please be expecting that. Thank you, Tamila and Sara, and everyone who watched or will be watching this webinar. Thank you so much. I will now stop the transmission, and thank you everyone who joined us. Okay, there we go.